So in this video, we are going to clarify the concept of nested if else with a demo Java program. So, and for the sake of convenience and for the sake of easy understanding, I will use the same problem and what I have used in previous demo, that is convert the student's percentage score to equivalent letter grade, and the conditions are also same, that is if the score is greater than 90, you have to print A. If the score is in between 80 and 90, then you have to print B. And if the score is less than 80, then you have to print C. So, and I will solve the same problem using three different ways. The first way I have already shown you using a compound if statement in the previous video. So I will keep that part as it is. And now I am going to solve the same problem uh, using else if statement as well as using a nested branching, just to show you, to clarify the concept of nested branching. So here in our previous example, I have used the class name as compound condition because it was like that. So let me just change the name. So let me write it as nested branch demo. So here is the first part of code, and here as you can see, in order to denote the fact like score is greater than score is in between 90 and 80, we have used a compound statement. Now this is not the only way to denote in between. You can use other way out also. So let us see another way. So this time so this one is, let's say, uh, using compound if statement, compound if statement. So the next one what we are going to see is we will use else if instead of using a compound if statement. So let me write down that part of code, that piece of code. So here, let's say I am using the first if condition will be as it is, that is score is greater than 90, then I can print system.out.print then A. So the first part of the program is same for both the solution, which is depicting like score is greater than 90. Now the second part of the solution, that will be little bit different. This time I am going to solve it using else if statement. That means it should look like else if score is greater than 80. Then what do I need to do? Then I have to print system.out.print, that is B, which is exactly same as writing this statement. Now here, by using this else, what I am saying is I am just negating this condition. That means I am actually writing 90 is less than equals score. So this entire part, if 90 is less than equals score, that part is simply compressed inside this single else keyword. So that's a much better way of doing the things, because you really do not need to write so much of code. You can just use an else statement to depict this 90 greater than equal score, which is just the opposite of if score greater than 90. Now for the next part of this compound statement, that is score greater than 80, I have used this score greater than 80 with an if statement. So that is another way of solving the problem. And the third part of the problem will remain the same because there is only one uh, condition. So we can just use else here because there is no other option but less than 80. So the first part is greater than 90. The second part is between 90 and 80, and then there is no other option available that is less than 80. So I can just use else instead of writing if score greater less than 80. You can write in this way, but there is no meaning to write in that way, although that is okay. So just by using else I can achieve the same result, like so system.out.print, and here it will be print C. So now let us see whether both of them are giving the correct result or not. So in order to run it, let me comment out the first solution, that is until this part, which was using a compound statement. Now let us see whether for score equals 70, whether it is going into this else part or not. Or let's start with a different example. So let's start with a number which is greater than 90, and let us see whether it print A or not, because the score is greater than 90. So let me just run this program in here, and as you can see it printed A. And just to hold everything on screen, so let me just copy paste this code on top of this one. So instead of writing it in down, let me just write it in here so that you can see the entire code when I am running actually. So here it is. So now this double score equals 100, and so as if I run this program as expected, it will go inside this A. It will print A because score is greater than 90. The next part is if the score is in between 80 and 90. Let us see whether this else if score greater than 80 can take care of the fact that 90 is greater than equal score and score is greater than 90 or not. So let us give some number in between 80 and 90, let's say 84. And now if I run it, it should print B. So it is B. Now it is clear, right, that this else part is basically taking care of the entire fact, like 90 is greater than equal score, and the if part is again representing this one. So that is the second part of the program, which I have solved using else if statement this time. Now the third part of the program, that is the else, means all the other conditions which are all the other scores which are less than 80, basically less than or equals 80. So let us do something like 70 over here. For score, let us see whether it go inside else or not. So let us run this program, and as you can see it printed C. So because 70 is neither greater than 90 nor it is in between 80 and 90 but less than that, that means it went to this else part. So that is another way of solving. Now if you have understood these two different solutions, now it will be very much easier to understand the nested branch, that is the nested if else based solution. So in order to do that, let me just comment out this thing, this solution. Now let me go for the nested if else. So well, first of all, the first thing will remain the same, that is if score is greater than 90 you have to print A. There is no change in there. So let me just copy paste it from the previous solution like this. So this is my first part. So if score is greater than 90, then I am printing A. Now the next part, where I have solved it using else if in our previous solution like this, but this time I would like to solve it using a nested if else. So that means what I can do, I can check like, well, if the score is greater than 90 I am printing A, that's all right. Now let's do an else here. So what is the meaning of this else? This else means you are negating all these things. So this else means if score is less than equals 90. So that part is taken care of by this else, only this else. Now what you need to do, if that's the case, if score is less than equals 90, then you have to take care of like if the score is greater than 80. So I wrote this part once again. So if score is greater than 80, then print B. So what is the, there will be another closing curly brace for this. So what is the meaning of this entire nested else if? That means if the score is less than equals 90, this else statement is taking care of that fact, and also if the score is greater than 80, and that means exactly same as in between 90 and 80. So that is how you can write a nested if else statement. So score is greater than 80. So inside that if you have to write down this B, you have to print B in here. Now the third part. In the third part, it is score is less than 80. What you can do in here is, inside this else statement you can write another, for against this if you can write another else statement, and where you can do like system dot out dot print C. So what is the meaning of this else? Well, the meaning of this else is, so this else is against this if statement. Okay, so what is the meaning of this else? This else means it is checking whether the score is less than equals 80 or not. So just let's check what is the meaning of the entire program, this entire solution. So first, the first part of this program, that is the first if statement, is just depicting the fact that if the score is greater than 90, then print A. Now the second part. Now in second part there is an else statement, which means the score is less than equals 90, just the opposite of this if. Whenever the score is less than or equals 90, it will go inside this else statement. Now whenever the score is less than equals 90, that is the code went inside this else statement, then there can be two more situations. Well, the score is less than equals 90, but the score is greater than 80. In that case, the letter grade is B. And the second case means score is less than equals 90, and also the score is less than equals 80. In that case, you have to print C in here. So that's the explanation of the entire code. And now let us check it whether everything is fine or not. And in order to check that, let us first test for the first part, that is giving some value for score which is greater than 90. Let's see whether it print A or not. So let us run the program and let me see what is the output, and as expected it printed A for score 100, which is greater than 90. Now let us test for this B. So let me give some number which is less than equals 90 and greater than 80, that is in between 80 and 90. So let me give some number like 84 in here, and now let me run this program and let us see whether it print B or not. And as expected it printed B in here. So it went inside this nested if statement, nested inside this else. All right. And now the third part, where I am going to check with a score that is less than 80, and I would like to check whether it comes inside this nested else statement and print C or not. So let me run this program and let us see what is the output. And as expected, 70 means it is less than equals 90. Also it is less than a number, it's 80. So it were first, since it is less than 90, it went inside this cells, and then since it is even less than 80, so it went inside this else and print C. So that is the demo of your nested if else statement. And also I have shown you how to solve the same problem, that is printing the letter grade, this problem, utilizing three different options. The first one using the compound if statement, second using a else if statement, and the third one using a nested if else statement like this.